Well, joining me now on the news at 10 to throw more light on this developing issue is a senior researcher with the Nigeria Office of Human Rights Watch, Mausi Shegun. She joins us from our studios in Abuja. Thanks for joining us on the news at 10 tonight. What is the basis for this report by your organization?
If I can just backtrack a little, it was something that we came across in Maiduguri as far back as September 2015. We had gone into IDP camps working on other issues, and in almost every camp that we walked into, individuals, including displaced people themselves, social workers, health workers will walk up to us and tell us about these cases that they came across. And in one of those cases, the man who spoke to us said, "I am a man and I am shocked that this is happening. Why don't you look into it?" Again, it was repeated in February. It was at that point that we realized that there might be a pattern and that the abuse was not about to stop anytime soon. And that is the reason why we went into Maiduguri again in July 2016, and we were there for 2 weeks, just checking with different camps what was going on with women and girls.
Is there an idea how long this sexual abuse has been going on, this sexual favors for aid and for food and for supplies? Any idea how long this has been going?
It's difficult to tell, but what we did find is that some of the women had children as old as 1 year old. This tells you, if you can extrapolate from that, a woman with a 1 year old child had been pregnant for 9 months, meaning that the abuse itself happened prior to that time. So if you look at, and then we saw others who had younger babies, we had some who were still pregnant, and some who, according to them, the rape or the sexual exploitation had happened just a month before, and they were not sure that they were pregnant or not. So within a 2-year period, it looks as if it had been going on systematically at different places at different times.
And some of these women have been infected by HIV and other sexually transmitted diseases, unfortunately, because of this abuse going on in the camps. When you brought this to the authorities, was there any sort of medical attention for the women who were affected?
We did write to the authorities as soon as we completed our research at the end of July. We presented a summary of our findings to the government. We eventually met with the Minister of the Women's Affairs Minister, and she did promise to investigate, because at that point what we were asking for was investigation, because we knew that the numbers that we were able to document were really a small fraction of the entirety of the problem. And so we had asked that they investigated as well. Don't take our word for it. Go out there, investigate as well. We are aware that she did carry out some investigations to Maiduguri, to Adamawa, and to Yobe State as well. We don't know the outcome of the investigation, but that in itself is a first step. The fact that there were investigations, and as we heard today, the President himself has promised that there will be criminal investigations going on. So our point, and which is the point that you've raised, is that it goes beyond just criminal investigations. Those women, those girls need immediate medical and mental health, psychosocial support right now where they are. Many of them are traumatized. As a matter of fact, even those of us who spent time talking with many of them came out really traumatized ourselves.
I read that from the reports you posted on your website, but is this evidence that you have, is it enough to generalize that this is happening in all the IDP camps in Nigeria?
No, we definitely cannot say that it is happening in all the IDP camps in Nigeria. But what we do know is that in many of the camps in Maiduguri, there are 13 formal camps in Maiduguri. And I also must point out the fact that other institutions, including the UN, had released reports, assessments reports earlier in the year, as far back as April and May, alluding to the fact that these abuses were occurring and asking the government to act immediately. obviously nothing had changed by the time that we got in July. So we definitely know that it is happening in Maiduguri, where most of the people displaced by the Boko Haram conflict are resident. Whether they are occurring in other camps outside of Maiduguri or outside of Borno State, we do not know.
Human Rights Watch Officer Mausi Shagun, thank you so much for joining us on the News at 10.